Love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everybody, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Crystal Palace versus West Ham United, all the way over in South London on Saturday. I'm here to talk about it. I'm here riding solo today, and we're going to talk about it. For me, big game. Big game for West Ham. Like, West Ham need to turn up, perform, and assure safety. I think safety is pretty much dead and buried for us. I think we are safe, but to have a bit of peace of mind and a bit of relief to the situation, I'd like to see West Ham literally get this done quickly and very, very fast. I don't want West Ham to be hanging about. It's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. Palace are a team reborn under Roy Hodgson. I will say that. And the way they've been performing recently, especially with a couple of their key players who I'm going to speak about shortly, they've been doing pretty good. They had a draw the other week against Everton in a 0-0, I think it was. Everton man got sent off. And yeah, but we always seem to do well at Palace. That's one thing I will say. So it's going to be interesting to see how West Ham sort of go about this game. This game is the one. Like, this is what I said the other week. I turned around and I said, West Ham beat Bournemouth. If we get anything against Liverpool, it's a bonus. But then the Palace game is a must-not-lose game, basically. I don't want West Ham to lose this game. If we get a draw, then so be it. Right? It just keeps us on tenterhooks a little bit longer. Do you know what I'm saying? But I will say this. I do think West Ham will go there and give a good account of themselves. But let's talk about Palace and two of their key men. And this Eze and Elise. Both players were linked with West Ham for a long, long time. I mean, like, Elise should have easily come from Reading, right, to West Ham, and he had the chance to come here, and Palace took the punt on him. And he's a quality player. Like, people don't really like him. Some people say that he's not. Afternoon, Steve. People say he's not really their cup of tea. Other people say that he's a very, very good player. And for me, I think Elise is a very, very good player. I think his goal against us at the LS back in late November was a goal that sunk us in the end to a 2-1 loss. And I'm going to be honest, he's been improving as the year's gone on. Do you know what I'm saying? Eze is another level, though. Like, West Ham had a choice between Benrahma and Abriva Eze, and West Ham went for Benrahma. Don't get me wrong, Eze is a quality player, right? He is, but he's another one that is in and out. Like, 1 minute he's unplayable and he's very, very good. Another time he's just non-existent. Do you know what I'm saying? But as I say, since Roy Hodgson's been back there, I watched the game against Leeds and he just tore Leeds to shreds. Literally tore Leeds a new one. I like both these lads, and I'd like to have both of these lads at West Ham, but, you know, West Ham just don't act on signing players. And obviously Palace got some other decent players in their side. Obviously Mitchell is another player that I really like. I'd love him at West Ham. They've got is it Decore, I think it is, in the middle of the park, who seems to be like pretty decent for them. Obviously, their striker's always different. Do you know what I'm saying? Usually he's like, they've got AU usually who's playing from the wing. So it's going to be an interesting game to see how they set up. But obviously Zaha, if he's back in the side, that's a big boost for them. Would I like Zaha? Not for me. But I do rate these two lads, and I must admit Palace have done very, very well to keep them. Let's move on to this. Now, this is an interesting one. Right, it's going to get the chat going. Right, but this is what it's about on E20 Zone TV. Benrahma, hated or appreciated? We had a discussion the other night about Said Benrahma, and a lot of people have got this sort of agenda to say that he's shit. For me, they don't know what they're talking about. I've seen a lot more players and a lot of old school West Ham fans who's in my chat right now will vouch for this. I've seen a lot more shitter players than Said Benrahma at the club. I feel that Benny hasn't been good, but the treatment that he gets isn't fair. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of players don't get the same treatment as what Said Benrahma gets, i.e. like criticism and the double standards. Do you know what I mean? I feel that when I look at him, I feel that there's a player there. I think the left back position is a problem. I think when he's with Emerson, for how bad Emerson is defensively, going forward, Emerson's good. And he helps Saeed out because he overlaps and does a lot of the stuff. Is Saeed the future for West Ham? No. Right? As I say quite openly right now, Saeed Benrahma is not the future of West Ham United. He's not going to change West Ham United. But at present, he's part of the team that has got us to two semi-finals. Do you know what I'm saying? And you've got to respect something that he does. Do you know what I mean? They keep comparing him to Bowen, with their two completely different players. One player is a more defensive-minded and better attacking than Benrahma. I look at the options that people come in and suggest for Saeed Benrahma. They bring up Pablo Fornals. Pablo Fornals is not a left-sided attacker. He never has been. He's an industrial midfielder. That is what his job is. A number 10 at best. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to beat a man. Even though I do like Pablo Fornals, I don't get the hype of what he brings. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, I look at Pab and I think you would be better in a three-man midfield. You bring more to a three-man midfield than you would do to the left wing. So when I look at the options that we've got for Saeed, yeah, there is none. Maxwell Cornet isn't worth the time of day at the minute for me. Really isn't. I look at him and I see a chance at Fulham that he spooned. I look at the chance at Liverpool that he spooned wide. People say about the long-term layoff. That's an excuse, in my opinion, massively. I look at it as an excuse to say, well, look, like he's got an excuse for being that poor. But other players have been injured and come back. Paqueta's been injured this year and come back. Like, you can't keep making excuses. It doesn't take a lot of working out that if a player's not performing, you've got to call him out on it, yeah? Now, has Saeed been good in the last month? No. That's coming from me. I'll say he's been bang average at best, yeah? But the way he gets stick and the way he gets approached in regards of silly things, yeah? People don't want this geezer here. And I've always said this for a long time, and I will stand by him. If he's shit, I will say, Saeed Benrahma, you've been shit today. Yeah, and I will openly say that. But if he's been okay or decent, people just want to go in on him for the sake of it, which I find totally unacceptable. Do you know what I'm saying? I've had to deal with Mikel Antonio performances over the last few years where he's been not good, and people keep blowing smoke up his arse. Most recently, Thomas Souček. Like, when you look at Thomas Souček and what he brings to this side over the last sort of 6 months, it's only over the last sort of 3 games where he's been decent, if I'm being honest. Like, he's had odd performances and people have been crying to get him out of the team. Now, if I was manager of West Ham United, I'd take Thomas Souček out, put Pablo Fornals in. Fornals, Paqueta and Rice. But there is a reason why he will not do that for some reason, yeah? So, for me, when I look at the Benrahma hate or appreciated, I think he is more hated, if I'm being honest. Yeah, that's coming from me. I'll say it quite openly. Yeah, people will come at me and say to me, oh, look what he does. He scores 1 open goal. But he saved Moyes' job at the start of the season. But the goal in the FA Cup against Brentford, I think if West Ham would have lost that game, it would have been goodbye to David Moyes. Saeed scores a goal, keeps West Ham in the cup, and keeps Moyes in the job. But does Saeed have to improve? Absolutely. Like, I'm not going to lie and say that he's been like, I'm not going to blow smoke up his arse. Do you know what I'm saying? He's got to improve, but the whole team have got to improve. Do you know what I mean? Also, that left-hand side's got to improve. When you've got Cresswell on that left-hand side, who, let's be honest, he's done. He's done to a point. And I look at Benrahma and Emerson on that left-hand side, it's night and day what you see. Where Emerson advances, he overlaps, there's more action on that left-hand side when there's Emerson and Benny than there is Cresswell and Benny. For me, and I'm not going to go in on Cresswell, but Cresswell runs down the left-hand side, stops, checks his run, and he doesn't have the pace to go forward and beat a man and advance into the box. As simple as that. So when I look at Benrahma, just to round it up on the Benrahma thing, I think Benrahma should start on tomorrow against Palace. I don't see why he shouldn't start. I think he had a half-decent game the other day. It wasn't great, yeah, but he got subbed on the 60th minute mark. Do you know what I'm saying? But Moyes changed it because it was going nowhere with the team that we had. So I don't understand why he should be dropped. Do you know what I'm saying? Is this the game to drop Benrahma? No. Saeed likes playing against Crystal Palace, I will say that. Every time he's been to Palace, he's always assisted a goal or he's been a nuisance. Do you know what I'm saying? Ever since he's been at West Ham. So I would play Ben in this game. Do you know what I'm saying? Will he play? I think he does. I think Moyes will go with his strongest team here and then go light against Manchester City. So I'm just going to put that in there. Any questions, I'll answer them at the end, right? So I'm just going to go through this preview, then I'll get to everyone's comments in the comment section. So yeah, from me, my final word is on this is that these so-called people just don't rate Benrahma. Yeah, look at the options that you got, and then tell me if they're good enough. Now you can say about Pablo Fornals, but Pablo Fornals is not a left-sided winger or left-sided attacker. Never has been. He's an industrial midfielder, number 10 at best. Yeah, and that is it on that. So I'll move on to the starting 11. As I've just mentioned, Saeed, I think, will start, but I'll start off in goal. Fabianski. The other night, I thought he was all right. He kept us in the game at one stage, and then we decided to go and sleep at a corner. So yeah, Fab in goal. Kufel for me was pretty decent defensively the other night, I must say. Bit of a problem though, going forward, like crosses and all that. The crosses are just looped and they're not. It's like when he gets the ball, Kufel, he's trying to aim for an area rather than get it into a place of danger, sort of thing. And if that area is covered, then the ball's just getting cleared away. So I think he will start. Zuma and Aguerd pick themselves like that. They both start. I thought Aguerd was excellent the other night. Do not care what anyone says about a higher 6 out of 10 for Aguerd. Aguerd was brilliant the other night. Really, really was. And that's the sort of player he is. I think the only thing I will say about Aguerd, I think we know what his weakness is now. And his weakness is in the air. I don't think he's strong enough in the air, and that's a problem. If teams play with big, solid centre forwards, then we could have a problem there. But Aguerd's been brilliant for us this season, well, when he's played. So, you know, is what it is. Obviously, so Zuma. Left-hand side. For me, I'd go Emerson in this game. Yeah, I don't understand why Emerson isn't playing, but I'd play Emerson. I think Emerson is the man. I think Cresswell played in against Liverpool. I think you go with Emerson in this game. He's more attacking. People say about his defensive ability, but you've only got to look at Cresswell. Cresswell can't defend either. So you got. What would you prefer? Who's the better attacker, Emerson or Cresswell? Emerson, but Cresswell can cross the ball. Now, make it what you make of it. Midfield. For me, Rice, Paqueta, Souček's going to play. Yeah, he's going to go with that 3-man midfield again. It's working slowly. Yeah, Paqueta's been brilliant over the last few games, and so has Rice. And I think that's made Souček look a bit better than what he normally is. So I'd go with them 3. Benrahma on the left. I think Maxwell Cornet did not impress me at all when he came on. Do you know what I mean? I want Cornet to do well at West Ham, but for me, he's just not doing it. Right? Do you know what I'm saying? 2 games now where he should have had 2 goals, like Liverpool and Fulham. Like he runs through against Fulham, kicks it straight to the goalkeeper. Runs through against Liverpool, kicks it straight over the bar or wide or wherever it was. Not good enough. Obviously, Bone on the other side and Mikel Antonio up front. I think Moyes has to go strong in this game and then go light against Man City. I think Man City is a job where we need workers in the team, like your Fornals, like your Flynn Downses, etc. People are going to run around and get stuck in and be a pain in the arse, basically. So, yeah, that would be my starting 11 for Crystal Palace versus West Ham. Right, before I move on to my predictions, let's get comments in the chat, see what you're all saying. I maybe start Ings, then use Antonio as an impact sub. I would just play Antonio in this game, Don. If I'm being honest, I'll just play him and just. He usually plays all right at Palace. A few years ago, he used to love scoring a goal. Emerson, Benny, and Paqueta are working down the left. Tasty. I agree, Drano. I agree. I don't look at it as negative as some people look at it. Do you know what I'm saying? Do we need to improve on Saeed Benrahma as a whole? Yes, we do. I will openly say that. I'm sorry. I will say that like Benrahma's not the future of West Ham, even though I back the geezer up. But the hate he gets for me isn't on. I've seen worse players than him at this club for a long time, who've been stealing living for a long time, and people go in on him like he's the worst player ever. I find it pathetic, if I speak honest truth, and fucking vulgar, to say the least. Adam, Antonio starts every game for me. Not for me. It doesn't start every game for me. We've got to look after this geezer. Like, if we're going to win the conference, we can't rely on Danny Ings. Like, we've got to rely on Mikel Antonio. And for me, Mikel Antonio has to be rested in certain games, prepared for AZ Alkmaar. Do you know what I'm saying? AZ at home is a massive game. West Ham need to get the job done at home on the 11th of May. Right, they need to be on it from minute one and just be a nuisance. Do you know what I'm saying? And they could destroy this team at home, and we could be going right. We can go over there and set up solid and defensive in a way that come and break us down. So I just don't see the risk. Antonio, we all know how injury prone he is. Like, look how many times he gets an injury or he gets an hamstring pull. Anything now, that's it, done. Literally done for the season. So we're going to have to be careful. Pointless games, really, when you don't really need him. And if we are safe, right, we need to prepare. We need to prepare for them games. So, you know, look at Benrahma's goal scoring record over the past 2 seasons. It's up there. Yeah, but, you know, people don't give him credit for that. You know what I mean? We had Kovac at West Ham. He made Suchet look like Furlough. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with this comment also. Wrap Antonio up in cotton wool. Totally agree. Totally agree with Richard. We all know that he's injury prone, right? And if he's looked after, then he lasts the season. If he goes for a run against a team and he pulls his hamstring, we're all going mad, going, what are we going to do now? Do you know what I mean? Because Danny Ings, for me, hasn't done anything in a West Ham shirt, really. He's had a good performance against Nottingham Forest, where I thought, you know what? Yeah, he looks the part. Recently, not for me. He hasn't done anything really, no. I don't understand it. He's got a lot of money and all, so he ain't going to go nowhere either. Antonio plays well when he plays every game. The majority of his injuries have been because he hasn't kept up his fitness. I disagree on that. I've seen him many times over the last few years play all the time and still not performed. For me, we've got to keep him fit, yeah, because the Premier League is not important. Like, after this weekend, if whatever result West Ham get this weekend, I think a positive result, mind. If West Ham get a point or a win, I think they're safe. Yeah, I do think they're safe now, but I'm not going to risk our one striker that could win us a cup, because he could win us the cup. Like, let's be real. Like, Danny Ings, for me, isn't going to win us the cup. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I get what you mean, though, James. Antonio plays until we are safe. I would say what we are. Treno says Ings hasn't got the legs. I agree. Aston Villa knew exactly what they were doing in that scenario, and they knew they played the game and played it very, very fucking well. Do you know what I'm saying? The amount of money that we paid for him is neither here or there, because we've paid a lot of money for other players before and haven't performed. It's the wages that irritate me a lot more. 125 grand a week, I think he's on. That's a lot of money for a person who's just a makeshift striker. I see people saying about getting rid of him in the summer. Where's he going to go, right? And who's going to pay the money that he's getting right now? No one's going to touch him. So West Ham have got a bit of a problem in that aspect. He is good for games like what are coming up. I will say that. It's games like Manchester City, you can just chuck him in there, let him go. There you go. You get 90 minutes. And obviously, if we get a right result against AZ Alkmaar, right, in the away leg, we can bring him on, or start him and then bring Antonio on. West Ham need to learn from last season in regards of what happened last season with Eintracht Frankfurt. It's a year today that basically that game. So, you know, we've got to learn a lesson from then. I I think Ings was an insurance side, i.e., same as Hugo. If we went down, we've already got the striker in place to get us back up. I can see Ings going back to Southampton if they go down. I don't think he does, mate. I don't think he does, Adam, right? Because the wages he's on doesn't merit anyone like taking that risk on him. 125k a week is a lot of dough, and someone who's just got relegated won't be able to match that. And why would you leave? Like, if you've just signed a deal with West Ham for 2 years, I think he sees these 2 years out. I agree with what Richard just said there. Literally took the words out of my mouth. So yeah, I really start bedding in a few youngsters for next season. I agree, mate. I really do. What team would you play for Crystal Palace, Jan? I've just said my team, mate. It's probably I'll probably take out Cresswell and go with Emerson to make it short and sweet for you, Jay Woods. So yeah, right. I'm going to get to my predictions now. I want everyone in the chat to put their predictions in for the game. Crystal Palace, West Ham. Oh, right. One thing I'm going to say, there's always goals in this game, right? Especially at the Gaff. If I remember it rightly, the last 2 games I think it's been 3-2. Right? I remember when Benny was there through COVID and we won the game 3-2. I think we was 3-0 up or 3-1 up. No, tell you, I was 1-0 down, went 3-1 up, and they scored, and it was just all hell broke loose in the last 5 minutes. Last season was, I think, the same again. If I remember rightly, there's always goals in this game. So if you're having a punt on this game, by all means, back over the 2.5 goals. I think there's goals galore on this all day. What do I think? I think West Ham turn up. I think West Ham will learn from the other night. I am going to say 3-1 West Ham. I think West Ham are going to be on it. I think West Ham know that this is the game that could seal the deal for them. I look at the other fixtures last night, and all I see is 1 win, and I think we're good. Yeah, I really do. I will get to everyone's predictions shortly. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. We do like playing there, and they're going to come forward, which is going to help us. And we could do a similar job like we've done against Bournemouth. Give them the ball, and then once we turn the ball over, counter attack. And if the players play that I think are going to play, I think West Ham win this game. I really do. Palace, decent side under Roy, but I think Moyes will get the better of him and get the job done. And I'm going to say, yeah, 3-1 win. Right, let's get into it. Let's see what users are saying in the chat. Jay Woods says 2-2. I think it's a draw. Adam says 3-1 like me. We got Steve says 2-1 or 1-all. Cliff says 2-all. I think the draw's there. If I wasn't a West Ham fan, I'll be back in the draw. As a West Ham fan, I look at this game, I look at the way we played against Bournemouth, even against Liverpool. I don't think we played that badly. Right? I also we played bad. I just think they just scored the goals, and but we just wasn't. How can I put it against Liverpool? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was just mediocre. But it's just mediocre, wasn't it, against Liverpool? So, all depends on what team he puts out. I'm going for a 3-1 win to us. Yeah. We lost 2-1 last season, at least. No, that was this season, and that was at home. Away from home last season, we beat them. I remember because I think Antonio done the flying Superman fucking celebration. So, yeah, it was 2-1 this season with release. Southampton, Everton are down. I reckon last place is between Leeds and Forest. Yeah. Oh, and Leicester even. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1. That's what I think. And hopefully the boys get it done. Right, where are we? Let's go to questions now. Anyone got any questions in the chat? Put them in the chat. I'll answer them as honest and true as I can do. So, yeah, put your questions in the chat. Excuse me. Who I think will go down is an interesting one. I looked at the games last night. Everton have got some horrendous fixtures. I think they've got Leicester, they've got Brighton away, they've got Manchester City at home. They've got a lot of games where they're up against teams that are fighting for something. Like Brighton are fighting for Europe, Man City are fighting for the league, Leicester are fighting to stay in the league. I think this will be the first time that we're ever going to see Everton go down. I see a lot of stuff on Twitter last night of Everton fans, and I'm going to be honest, the way it's been going with them, it's been coming for a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? When you overspend the way they have done and buy some of the most ridiculous players that they've bought and expect them to, change, then, I just don't see Everton staying up. I think Southampton will go. I think that's a given. I think last night's defeat against Bournemouth really put the nail in the coffin for me. Leicester, Leeds, Nottingham Forest. I think Nottingham Forest getting a win last night was massive. I think their price last night was 17-2, I think it was, which was absolutely like stealing money. I thought Forest would turn up against Brighton at home. They did. And I think they might just get away with it, with that win. Might. And that is just like, that's pushing it at that. I think Leeds, the problem is with Leeds is you just never know what Leeds are going to turn up. If Leeds turn up at Ellen Road and they're vibing, then they'll stay up. Leicester are another one. Leicester have got some bitty games, but then by the time they get to us on the final day of the season, if West Ham are in the conference final, all our players are rested. So Leicester are going to look like, if Leicester need to win that game to stay up, that is the most banker game going. Because I expect Moyes to rest all the players for the conference final, which will be like the following week. So the last one is, fucking hell, it's like tossing a coin, isn't it? I'll toss 3 coins. Who am I going to say? I'm going to say, I think, see, Everton look like they're nailed on to go down, yeah, but Everton would not surprise me if they get a win from somewhere. In fact, they went to Brighton and won, or they got a draw against Manchester City or something. I think Leicester could go. Well, I'm saying Southampton. I think Leicester will go, even though I think time they get to us, I think the damage will be done. And I am going to say Nottingham Forest. I think Everton might just get out of it. I don't know why, but I just think Everton will muster up something from somewhere, right? And they will get out of it at the death. I think Forest, they got a good win last night, but the problem is with them, they don't win away from home. And their last few home games, I know they've got Arsenal coming up and all. So I don't see Forest, right, good win last night, but can they get another one? Do you know what I'm saying? Or are they going to beat a team away from home? I don't see it myself. I really don't. So, yeah, Southampton, Leicester, Forest. I think Everton will just about get out of it with a moody result. They will find a result from somewhere. I think Leeds, the home crowd will get behind them, and I think they will just get over the line and all. And yeah, I'll go with that. All right, Jim, I'm confident, but are any others like me just slightly concerned that we run out of steam again? And we shouldn't, but we could. Good question, Alkins. I won't say we're running out of steam, right? I think we've picked up form recently. I will say that. I like West Ham the way they're playing at the minute. Yeah, I think against Liverpool the other night, I think it wasn't the biggest of deals. You know what I mean? West Ham, when they lost against Newcastle, on the other hand, they got absolutely obliterated, and that was embarrassing. That was more embarrassing than it was with the defeat. Like, as West Ham fans, we can take losing. Right? We've been used to it for a long time. But one thing we can't say is being embarrassed at home. And I don't think it was embarrassed the other night. I just think Liverpool scored that goal, shot up shot, and some of our players just didn't turn up. Do you know what I'm saying? It is a busy schedule now. I will say that. When you look at the schedule that is coming up for West Ham, you've got Palace, Man City on the Wednesday, which is, let's be honest, if we can keep that score down to like 3 goals or below, I'm happy. Manchester United on the Sunday at 7:00. AZ on the Thursday. And then I think it's Brentford on the Sunday. So it's busy, mate. It is busy at the minute. And Moyes has got to rotate. One thing I will say, he definitely has got to rotate. Let's see what Iron's analysis has. So, Jimbo, did you hear Nick from Claret and Booze scoop that the reason for the upturn is because of the group effort to manage? If you can elaborate even more, that's what you mean there. I think the upturn is that West Ham learn from the Arsenal game, they can compete with teams. I think this season, before the Arsenal game, West Ham didn't really compete with teams. They tried, but they just wasn't, vibing on that wave. Yeah. Against Arsenal, 2-0 down at home after 10 minutes. If anyone in that crowd or anyone around the world would have said to us, we're going to draw this game 2-2, they would have probably thought you was on like severe drugs and lots and lots of alcohol. Yeah. There was no chance. But West Ham did do that. Right. They got back to 2-2. And basically, they believe now. Yeah, they believe something is possible. I think West Ham need to organise themselves in a way that they learned from the Eintracht Frankfurt game last season. That is the one. That's the one that they've got to learn from. Well, they've not got to treat it like a fucking party against AZ. That's one thing I'm going to say. Last season, it was more like a party than it was the job in hand. Like the job in hand sort of come second. The party was first. Now West Ham need to have a party in Amsterdam with a good result. As I have a drop of tea. I will check it out after. I'll just see it in the chat there, mate. So yeah, for me, I look at it like this. Yeah. I think the boys have come together. I think a lot of people have sort of calmed down with the Moyes out stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm with them. Yeah, I don't want Moyes here anymore. But what is the point going at the manager when it could be the first trophy that we've won in 43 years? Do you know what I mean? It's not. Now is not the time. Once West Ham are safe, yeah, we should all just come together and go, right, it's all about that. Do you know what I'm saying? If he goes and wins the competition, then questions will be asked of him and saying, right, do you keep this man for another year? Do you let him go? Etc. Do you know what I mean? But at present, the Moyes out stuff has to simmer down, and it has simmered down because of the result against Arsenal, the win against Bournemouth, getting through against Ghent. Yeah, so you've got to rate it. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's get to the thing. Apparently, don't shoot the messenger, but no, Rice, Noble, and the backroom staff now have a big say on tactics and what happens week in, week out, whereas before Moyes did everything. If that is the case, then so be it. And so be it. But if that is true, and that is true what you're saying, Ireland's analysis, then for me, then Moyes isn't the man, is he? Because when you're asking your players to do the tactics, isn't that why you're paid $5 million a year or $6 million a year, whatever it is? Yeah. I think his time is done at West Ham. Yeah. I know a lot of fans look at him and think he's the Messiah, right? He isn't. And for me, West Ham could go and get a better manager. I see something going on today about people saying about in Everton, we're turning around saying that they would have Moyes back, and people say, oh, you've got to be careful what you wish for and all that. Everton was years and years ago. Yeah, the Premier League is completely different now. Do you know what I mean? From back then. Yeah, when he arrived at Everton, the Premier League wasn't like it was now. So, it is what it is. Let's see what Hafiz has got to say. Yeah, I'll give him a 6 or a 7 setup. Set out decent side. Yeah. Right, I've got there. Who will we get in the next? I don't know what that is. Right, what have we got here? But even if we win the Conference League, he's still got to go for me. Postecoglou, Carrick, Gallardo. Yeah. Postecoglou would be a good little fit. I'm not going to lie. But you've also got to look at what the ambition is. There was a question that I did hear before, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now before I come towards the end. And the question is, if he does win the conference, what has the next manager got to do in regards of like ambition wise in the first season? Now, if he goes and if we win the conference, win the Europa League, yeah, we finish in Europa League. What's the new manager's aim for that new season coming up? Has he got to get top 8? Has he got to get top 10? Has he got to win a trophy? What is there? Because I think what it is, when Moyes is coming, I will give Moyes some credit. Since he's come in, he has shown a bit more ambition amongst the fan base. The fan base do look at it from an outside perspective and go, we want to be competing for Europe, but we've enjoyed the European journey in the Conference League, in the Europa League. So there's got to be, whoever does come in, there's got to be, they can't just slaughter the geezer if he gets us 12th in the first season. Like, what is the plan? Do you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to know what you say. European football, and if we do in the latter stages of the knockouts, and consistent investment each year into the squad. I agree. But what would you say, Tom, is the first season, if a new manager does come in, what is the realistic aim from it? Like, for me, with the team he's got right now, whoever comes in got to get top 12, or if not top 10. West Ham should be competing for top 10 at least. Like, West Ham shouldn't be nowhere near in the bottom half. Do you know what I mean? If he did get 12th, for instance, it ain't the big be all and end all. As long as the cup journeys are decent ones, like a quarter final. Like, if you're getting knocked out by League One or Championship sides, then that's not really good. Do you know what I mean? I say top 6 or 7 if Rice somehow stays. Yeah. It's going to be a sad day if he definitely goes. I will say that. Cliff says Potter. We don't want to leave it too long. The young coach. Yeah. I think he could go to Tottenham though, the way things are standing. First season for the next manager, good cup run and top 10. See, I agree with True Cockney there, right? That is what I would be happy with. But, you know, it is what it is. Back where we were in the last few years, but I definitely want to win the FA Cup. I think the FA Cup would be a realistic shout. The only problem is Man City just own these cups, don't they? If they don't win one, they win the other one. If they don't win that, they win both. So, you know, let's see what Adam's got to say. For me, don't hate me, in brackets. I think Moyes gets another 2-year deal, extension, stays, and we'll still in as an assistant manager. Then we'll transcend into still. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea giving Moyes another 2-year deal, because then what it is what more can Moyes do then? Do you know what I'm saying? What he's done this season has been like, the problem is if we don't get to the final of the conference, it's a poor season. Yeah. Any way you sum it up, and it is as black and white as that. Yeah. On the one hand, you got win the conference, great season. Yeah. Won a trophy, 43 years. We're all partying in the streets of fucking East London. On the other hand, if he loses against AZ or he fails to win the competition, then it's a bad season, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? People will look at it and go, the Conference League's great, but as a whole, you've had that success and then it's become a failure again. Do you know what I'm saying? With the team that we've got, we should at least be getting to the final. I think if he gets to the final and he wins it, I don't think they're going to sack him. I really don't. I want him to go. I'd love him to go, but I just don't think he will go. I think Sullivan, and let's be honest, we all know what Sullivan's like. Sullivan is a man that doesn't spend on managers. Let's have a look. Jimbo, in theory, what would you make Rice stay for next season? I think, personally, when it comes to Deck, yeah, he needs to look at this and weigh it up, yeah, for me personally, and go, what is more important, winning trophies, right, or becoming a legend at a club? If West Ham go and win the conference, he becomes a legend at the club, yeah? And if he goes to another club and he only wins 2 trophies, is that really worth it when you could stay at West Ham for a long time and be a legend? Like, his name will be on the fucking stadium. He'll have a statue up. He'll have everything. I don't think he stays. I think he goes, which is sad. And it will be hard for a lot of people when he does leave, because what you're doing is you're replacing a top class player with a player whoever we sign, we don't know how he's going to adapt. That's the problem. So it's going to be a tricky one for me, massively, and it's going to be I would like him to stay, but is it worth staying for another season and then his value goes down, or do you get rid of him now and get the most value? I think if a team comes in for 100 million for him, I think you just got to let him go. Like 100 million to West Ham, West Ham could rebuild their squad big time. They could go out and get 5 or 6 top quality players in positions that they need. Like you look at Villa, they got rid of Grealish. Grealish played the game with City a little bit and made sure there was a clause in there for 100 million. I think the problem we're going to have with Beck is if no one does come in for him and he does stay, then where does that leave West Ham? Because West Ham want the most value for him. Beck's not going to sign a contract, and then his value is just going to start going down because the contract's going down. And then eventually he could go for 50, 60 million, which could be a problem. Do you know what I'm saying? I think you got, personally, I don't want him to go, but I do think he has to go. Like, for the sake of West Ham United Football Club, he has to go. Like, and unless he signs a new deal and there's a release clause in it. That's the only thing I can think of at the minute. So, yeah. If I was Rice, the only team I'd go to and win trophies is Man City. Totally agree on that comment. I spoke to a Liverpool fan the other day, and I turned around and said, if he went to Liverpool or Manchester City, I'll be fine. Personally, I would. I look at Arsenal. I think they're a one-trick pony. I think they've had a good season this season. But if West Ham go and win a trophy and they finish second in the Premier League, who's had the better season? Like, we've won a trophy and they haven't. So, you know, that's an interesting one. What we've got here is go up to the top here. With Moyes, it feels like one step forward, 2 steps back. He doesn't have the mental capacity to go to the extra mile. Agree on that comment totally. The squad is fighting on all fronts: Premier League, survival, and conference. I agree with you, mate. I hope you're well, by the way. What we got? Moyes can be a mentor to Steele. We can continue to build the squad and not upset the squad balance too much. We have a big turnover of players this year, which has led to poor form. I don't think Moyes would learn anything from Steele. I think Steele would learn. I think Steele would teach Moyes a bit more than what Moyes will teach him, if I'm being honest. Do you know what I'm saying? The thing is, for me, if we played like this all the time, I would be a Moyes in. And completely, I wouldn't dream of thinking of wanting a new manager, but it's taken 25 games. Totally agree with Hawkins' family there. Bang on. I think there's a lot of reasons why this season's been like fluctuated quite massively. I think on the one hand, I think the change of system that he keeps trying to do at the start of the season, it was a 3 at the back, it was a 5 at the back. He went 4-2-3-1. He's now gone 4-3-3 that I've called for. Anyone who knows me, when I do the spaces, I was screaming for 4-3-3 for a long time because I thought it suited West Ham's game. And he started to play 4-3-3 now. I just think West Ham need a fresh approach now. I think West Ham have got the players, but they don't have the manager to lead the players to glory. Do you know what I'm saying? Every team's getting better. You look at Eddie Howe, yeah? People turn their noses up at Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and said, you know what, this man's not good enough. And look at what he's doing at Newcastle. He's been absolutely brilliant. So, you know, it's one of them ones, really. It's how you sort of look at it. For me, he's got to go. He has. Do you know what I mean? He's done his time for me, and his time is well and truly done. And if he wins the trophy, that would be an ideal way to go out for me. You say goodbye. I've done my time here. I'm going to hand it over to someone else. The problem is with David Moyes, and I've always said this, is he won't get a better job in the Premier League than West Ham. No one in the top 10 is going to hire him. If a team is going to hire him, it's going to be a lower end team that isn't like West Ham. So basically, the best job he's got is West Ham. Do you know what I mean? No, like he ain't going to Brighton, Brentford, or any of these teams. So you know, that's what I think on that. Cliff says we do need a fresh approach, no question. I agree. You look at the youth team the other day. And the best way of summing it up was when people were sort of questioning Mark Noble. And I'm thinking, how can you question a man who's given his life to West Ham United Football Club? And I think, Mark, you've got a man who's in safe hands. Yeah, Mark will not want West Ham to collapse. He cares and loves West Ham too much. Yeah, if that was any other person in there, I would be like everyone else, thinking, oh, like, I don't think it's right. I think he's there for the pound note. But Mark, I don't think Mark's there for the pound note. Obviously, he's earning a wage, but he cares. Do you know what I mean? And I think if it got bad, then Mark would step in and say, "This is not right." I think it's bad, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks it is. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's my opinion. I would like to see a younger and more exciting manager come in, a manager that would excite and bring the players and fans together. I agree. I would like to see a younger manager come in with just a fresh outlook. Like someone said it the other day to me, yeah, and this is a valid point. Like the Southampton manager has gone and beat a top 6 side away from home, right? Already this season in Chelsea. Now, anyone can say what they like about Chelsea, yeah? Oh, they haven't been great this year. But the Southampton manager's done more than David Moyes has done in his entire career by beating a big 6 side away from home. And that, to me, just says it all to me. Yeah? And I'm looking and I'm thinking, like, something's got to give. Do you know what I'm saying? Something's got to change. So, for me, I would like to see a young manager in there. It's got to be the right manager. Yeah? It's got to be a manager that will change West Ham's style of play, because if I'm being honest, I don't even know what West Ham's style of play is at the minute. One minute we look like a counter-attacking team, another time we look like a pressing team. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The problem with youth is lack of experience. Yeah. This is a guy who will come out and blame the fans before himself. Yeah, that's true. That's a valid point. I've read that comment out there. Moyes is 100% done with the management after this. I can't see him doing it again. His ego is too big. I think he would do it again, mate. I think if a job come up in Scotland or something, I think he'd go for that, or the national job. Like, if just for argument's sake, the Scottish manager got sacked, and there was a space there, I don't think David Moyes would turn down the Scotland national job. I really don't. So I just look at it like that, really. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest. He just doesn't. It doesn't excite me with Moyes' teams anymore. The players that we've got excite me, but when Moyes sets up in the ways, like the other night, he brings on 2 players, right? We're 2-1 down, and he sort of goes. It's very much like for like. It's not a gung ho approach. It's like the best way of summing it up is when West Ham play games in the past. And I've managed to watch people like Bergvich at the club, who was fucking amazing. Joe Cole, Yossi Ben-Ayoun, some really, really good flair players. The fans never sort of got on their back, yeah. Even though Bergvich was one of, like, he was a lazy fucker, yeah. Bergvich, he's a fucking good player, and when you got into his mindset, he would turn teams over all day long. I just don't think he always has the man management skills to get the best out of certain man in the team. Now, people have been crying out for Antonio to leave for a long time. And Antonio sort of turned up recently, yeah, but it's inconsistent. Paqueta, for me, has turned up. He sort of took the ball by the horns and he scored 3 goals in 3 games. So, like, Moyes has got to do a bit more in regards to that, in my opinion. He's got to develop players a bit more. I just don't see enough development there. Do you know what I mean? I've seen Ben Johnson, who, let's be honest, I think he's done at West Ham, but he's gone in as a right back, a left back, a centre half, in a free. He took a very, very good right back and turned him into a utility man who's not really that good. Do you know what I'm saying? Which, for me, isn't really good enough. And really, the only one who's really improved over Moyes' tenure is Rice. Right? Has anyone else really improved? Really, Souček hasn't. Benny hasn't, and I'll be honest with you. Bowen had a good season last year, but this season's been inconsistent. So, yeah. With Moyes, I worry about the youth setup. Clearly, he's got some proper talent in Rambus and Scholes. I don't trust Moyes to bring him in. Moyes, someone told me that a long time ago, Reese, and I say that to you, yeah. Someone said to me when he was at Sunderland, he said he don't invest in the youth, right? He just doesn't do it. and Sunderland fans had players who were up there, and he wouldn't give them a time of day. That's what the problem is, in my opinion. When I do look at Mbamba in that team, Harry's not on the bench for West Ham. I don't know. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a really, really good player. And some of these young lads like Marshall, I think he's an excellent player and all. And is it Earthy? Is the other one that I'm thinking of? Like decent, talented footballers these are. Do you know what I'm saying? One thing I will say about them is if none of them have got reassurances of being on the bench for West Ham in the first team, they need to go out on loan next season. Yeah, go out to a side that is going to develop them and basically make them better. Do you know what I'm saying? I see what Adam's saying there. Moyes gave Rooney the platform at Everton. Yeah, but Rooney's one off. Stones come from Barnsley. Lescott was from Wolves, and let's not talk about Leon Osman, mate. Fucking hell, he was bang average at best. But Moyes don't develop the youth. Like, look at the youth now, and look how much time that Moyes has had with some of the players that he's got. And let's be honest, right? When Moyes has been here, he's let people like who's the lad at Burnley go, Cullen, like who I think is a really, really good player, and Vincent Company turned and said he's one of the best players he's ever worked with. Do you know what I'm saying? And Cullen was a decent player, and like, there's been times where, like, yeah, Moyes, he just doesn't invest in the youth, I'm afraid. You know what I mean? Rooney has come out in an interview and said Moyes taught. I don't understand how that is. I think Sunderland never had a good youth system. I don't know, Adam. I don't know. Like, if the fans, like, listen, one thing you can't say is the fans. Yeah, the fans don't lie. Yeah, and the Sunderland fans weren't happy with him. Moyes could have played Elise at centre back and chose to play 5'7" Cresswell, who is left back at centre at 4. Yeah, and that to me sort of says why a lot of these lads have left. You've also got to ask yourself, people, in the chat, why are a lot of these youngsters leaving? Why did Harrison Ashby leave? Why did Elise leave? Why did Ekwar leave, who's doing really, really well at Sunderland? Sunderland have decided to go into West Ham's youth system and take out 2 of their best players. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, this under-18 side that we've just seen, they look tidy, some of them, yeah? But, like, we've got good young players. Are we going to be sitting here in 2 years' time saying Bamba's playing in fucking League One for fucking Peterborough? Do you know what I'm saying? See, I agree with that comment totally. I look at him and he just outshines everyone else in that youth system for me. Really does. I look at him and I think, whoa, yeah, right. He should at least be on the bench, like, for West Ham. And no disrespect, I think he could do a better job than fucking Ings at the minute. Do you know what I mean? So, one of our youth coaches was asked how much does Moyes go, okay, or do, or I don't know. Put that back in there again, True Company. He's on a high. He's got meant and no harm in giving him games now in the Premier League. No offence, but who wants to see Ings? Yeah. See, I agree with you on that. I really do. Right. Just to sort of round this up, I'm going to wrap this up in about 7 minutes. I look at him and think, what do you learn from him as a bench player? Nothing. Yeah. But if you give him sort of 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, you see how he adapts, we might need him. Do you know what I'm saying? Because, like, let's be honest, if Ings ever got injured, right, who else do we have on the bench as a striker? Do you know what I mean? So this kid, like, I think he needs to be given a chance, right? And certain games, even against Manchester City, right? If we're losing, right, and we're fucking 2 or 3-0 down, right, get him on for 20 minutes, half hour. Right? Let him run about, let him get involved, basically. You know what I'm saying? James, one of our youth coaches was asked how often does Moyes watch the kids? And they said he never goes to watch them. Says it all, doesn't it? Says it all. And I'll tell you what, there's a question for you, to sort of rattle your brains for this evening. What would you prefer? would you prefer a young manager that's going to bring the youth in, right, and develop the youth? Because West Ham are known for their youth talent, let's be real. Or would you rather change a manager who will bring the youth in, but won't spend over the odds for like mega money on signings that, let's be real, could flop? Right, do you know what I'm saying? I think the youth is a realistic possibility. Some of them players in that youth system look fucking good. They look really good. So for me, like, it's okay celebrating them winning the FA Cup, the Youth Cup, but let's be real, Moyes, is Moyes going to bring him in over the next 2 years? I just don't see it. I really don't. 3 years. Like, see, that says it all to me. Cole Palmer from City is a target for us, apparently. Now, they're targeting players from elsewhere because, yet again, Pep has given him the opportunity to have games, playing cup games, Champions League games even, if I'm memory serving me right, he's come on. And now West Ham want to sign him. But West Ham could have a striker sitting there, you know, not doing nothing. He brought through 20 youth players in the first team that River played, including Alves. And oh dear, yeah, no, I've heard so much about that manager, but it's very hard for me to comment because I just don't know. I don't know personally how good he actually is. But you know, I said it before I finished. No worries, mate. No worries. Right, I'm going to wrap that up there, people. That's been the Crystal Palace sort of preview. To sort of round it up from me before I say bon voyage, it's a big game for me on Saturday lunchtime. It's a big game. West Ham do like to play Palace away from home, I will say that. And for me, I do fancy us to go there and get a positive result. If West Ham do lose this game, the alarm bells will start ringing. So, yeah, you know what I mean? People will say, you know what, look at Everton, look at these other teams. We've got to look at ourselves. Right? We can't be worrying about other teams. If we win the game, we're safe. Guarantee you. Like, and then I can see a rotation against Man City, a sort of semi-rotation at home against Manchester United, and then the big one against AZ. I believe West Ham, I said it the other week, and I still stick to my guns. I think West Ham win the conference. Right? I'm pretty sure of it. I think West Ham will, if Moyes uses his loaf and sets up in a way that he's got a fresh team against AZ, yeah, and they are all vibing and all ready to go, then we're good. So I'm saying, certain man needs to get some game time, like Fornells needs to play. Maxwell Cornet needs to have a shot on target and make sure he scores a goal from like once in a while. And some of our key players, we've got to wrap in cotton wool, because if we lose Aguerd, if we lose Rice, Paqueta, Antonio, Bowen even, then it ain't gonna be looking good, people. That's the only thing I will say. So we've got to be careful. And some of these games are pretty pointless once we are safe. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your Friday wherever you are. One thing I'm going to say is I seen the news the other day about Jerry Springer passed away. And he always used to say, like, take care of yourselves and each other. So, RIP Jerry Springer, mate. I remember him as a kid growing up and some of the mad stuff on like Jerry Springer. But as he always used to say, take care of yourselves and each other. And that's what I'm going to say on that. Anyway, from me to you, have a good one. And I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.